This is the car which could convince petrol heads that electric vehicles can actually be fun. It's called the Project V and it's by Caterham. You know, the company that makes kit cars like this. Yeah, but they put all their sports car knowledge into this electric car. However, they've wrapped it up in a more practical, sexy looking body. And it's actually a car that's way more usable every day. Now you might be thinking, an electric car can never be fun. It's going to be too heavy. This thing actually weighs little more than an Alpine A110. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it. Buy, sell,
Car wow.
I'd like to start this video by talking about the design of this new Caterham, and I have the designer here, Anthony Gianarelli. You sound Italian, but you're actually French.
It's true, I'm French.
So, first of all, really good looking car.
Thank you.
Congratulations. But can you tell me a bit about how you got involved in doing the design of Caterham's first ever not kit car thingy? It's so unusual, I don't know what to say, because it's so very different to what Caterham has ever done before. It's an enclosed car, which is much more usable, and it's electric, and you don't get to build it yourself.
No, it's very unusual, and to be honest, I was also the first one to be surprised when Bob Lashley, the CEO, explained the project, and I was like, really? You want to do a Caterham? He's like, what's the link with that? And then, when you see the full story, it makes so much sense, and I'm sure you will understand that. And yeah, the fact that I'm very lucky in some sort because I'm a big fan of Caterham, and I live in Dubai. I have a 7 there, a Caterham 7, and I mean, I'm a bit of an alien over there because it's very sunny, very warm, and I drive this open-top car. And basically, Bob at some point was also living in Dubai. We met through the passion of this car. And then he explained to me, okay, I need a designer for the next project we're gonna launch. Suddenly it was like a competition. So I think I knew a bit more about the DNA of the car, of the brand, how to approach this and how to make a link between the philosophy of Caterham and what they want to achieve. And then I'm here, basically.
Okay, so you talk about a link to Caterham. Explain to me the links, because not mean to be rude, but all I can tell that's Caterham to me is where it says Caterham, Caterham. And in the lights it says Caterham. Now obviously you don't have that on a normal Caterham, but what are the links? Because I can't see them. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's a good looking car, but explain to me.
Yeah, I think some people sometimes, they mix up styling and design. And first, if you want a good style, you have to apply good design, and good design is all about the philosophy behind it. So the idea is what's the philosophy of Caterham? And Caterham stands for simplicity, lightness, and fun to drive. So my role as a designer is to say, okay, I have these core principles, how I can translate this into a car. And the brief was to create this kind of small GT coupe, So my aim was, okay, I have the Caterham philosophy, and now we apply this to this architecture. And that's where, bit by bit, you can get the link, But styling-wise, there's no need for the 7 to look alike any other car,
Okay, so explain to me what's going on here at the front. So, I mean, there's lots of shapes and looks a bit aero-y. Is this providing some kind of function, or is it just for looks?
But again, it comes from the philosophy of Caterham, which is, on the 7, it's form follows function. So my idea was, okay, even on this car, we need to show that the form follows the function. So this car has to go through air, it has to have a very good aero. So all the bottom area of the car, basically, maybe the black area, is going to be the very technical area that will be modified on the aerodynamic study, etc. Then, you have another layer, which is this middle area. And all this is to give a message. When you do design, you want to give a message to the people. And today, this is a modern car, so it has a very sharp edge, very structural shape. And it's almost like have this robotic feel, and it shows that it's an electric car, it's modern, it's almost futuristic. And finally, when you get to the top of the car, you go back to this vintage era where everything was simple and clean. And the mix of the three, for me, it shows today the new DNA of Caterham.
Okay, I do have a couple of questions. So we're talking about aero down here. That leads into this vent here. What does this vent do?
Basically, you see it's actually quite wide.
Yeah.
And this, to be clear, it's a concept car. So we haven't gone through a full aerodynamic study. But what I put in place is all the basic styling cues. And then I just want to make sure that it will work for production. So for instance, what we will do is we will study properly the airflow just to divert from the tire because you know that the tire is not aerodynamically good. And then you might cool either the brakes or just have the air channel to exit from the other side. If you see all the LMP1 cars, they have this channel of air. So it's part of it, basically.
Okay, so this is a general idea of the design. It could change a little bit for production, and you're looking at putting the car into production when?
In 2026.
So you've got 3 years from now.
Yeah. But again, I emphasize on the fact that this is 90% the final car. Because when we worked on the design and the conception of the car, we did what we call a pre-feasibility study. So all what you see basically is manufacturable. Okay. The windshield, the headlight, everything can be homologated and can be manufactured.
Question about the grille at the front. So behind that is a radiator.
Yeah. I know it's a surprise.
But why? It's an electric car?
Yeah, but it's for the next generation of batteries that will be liquid cooled, basically. Because you notice if you take a car on the track, an electric car on the track, it tends to overheat.
Right.
And basically, it's not Caterham technology. It's everybody will use this technology.
That's my amazed face there. Because I'm used to electric cars just having no grille. So electric cars are going to start having grilles again because you're going to have liquid cooled batteries for greater efficiency.
Exactly. It's perfect for us, no?
Do you know what? I don't know whether it's because I'm just programmed for cars having grills, but I think they just look better with grills.
True. And you know what? You know why you need a grille as well? Is to be able to position the registration plate. Because you see how big it is, actually?
Yeah, I hate it. If I had this car, actually it works. It does well to hide it. I've just got a new car and I've put a registration plate on it that's quite small and it's a sticker. But let's move on from that. Yeah, it's really nice looking. And so you say all these bits, they could be homologated. Yeah. So the headlights and so on and so forth, which is really important. And the single windscreen wiper, which is very kind of sports car-like. Didn't the McLaren F1 have a single windscreen wiper?
Many cars actually. You know, again, it's to simplify all the components because if you have two wipers, you need an arm. It's a more complicated geometry. So this is actually a central motor in the middle, and then if it's right-hand drive or left-hand drive, it works as well.
Yeah, so you're fine. Okay, because I know what it's like when you're the passenger. You don't get to see out so well because that part of the windscreen is always slightly rainy, isn't it still? Okay, let's move down the side and see what we've got going on here. Glad to say that you haven't been tempted to do cameras for door mirrors. Is there a reason behind that? Weight, simplicity, what?
Yeah, exactly. You get it. It's simplicity. It's because, this car there's not exact price at the moment, but it won't be a supercar-like price, And Caterham, again, stands for simplicity. So we just reuse what's existing and what has been proven, The technology inside, it's only for the driver and for the pleasure of driving this car in some sort. There's no fancy gadget, etc. And that's what allows us to make the car very light, It's supposed to be under 1,200 kilo, so it's extremely light just because we don't put any fancy gadget inside,
And let's be honest, there's nothing wrong with how the door mirrors work.
Yeah.
At least you get depth perception with them, unlike with the camera. I'm imagining this is your charge port.
Exactly.
Do you have one just on one side? Did you go for two sides?
We put two sides, and I have to admit it's because I quite like the shape of it. And I said, on the other side, I don't know what to do.
So is it basically a design thing? Will that actually enter production? Because obviously you're talking about cost and weight. That's more costly to do, both sides. So do you think you'll do that for production?
What we might do is I don't know if you noticed, but there is no assembly line on the hood. It's really a big clamshell.
Yeah.
And you're not supposed to open it as a user. It will be only for maintenance. And it simplifies the whole architecture of the car. We can have longer wishbone. We don't have to put extra panels inside. And again, it's more simple, It's this minimalistic approach. In some sort, Apple, for instance. That's what they use in their product. It's called a process of elimination. For the same product, you try to use less and less part, and then it becomes more reliable, easier to manufacture. So we apply the same process. So we have this big clamshell, and one of the advantages of this could be only in terms of all the liquid in the car that you need to fill in, We could fill it for you.
Right, like a Mercedes EQS. Here's a little clip of that right now. Yeah, it is quite a good idea, that is. Though, I do like the fact that it's one piece, because it looks gorgeous, but it's a missed opportunity that you could have had space in there for luggage.
I mean, that's where I get to the advantage of using an electric car, because everyone say, oh, it's such a shame, it's not a petrol engine, mid-engine car, etc. And I keep explaining to people that if you notice the size of the car, it's great that we managed to get this very small package, and actually we can carve out a lot of space inside. So you'll have a lot of space in the boot. And because it's electric, all the technology, all the powertrain is very low in the car. In some sort, you have space here, you have space at the back, and so we said, okay, we don't really need a small space at the front.
Okay.
And it's a big advantage to.
So can I look in the boot? Does it open?
No, it doesn't open, this one.
Okay, so...
You have to trust me on...
all right. Wait a minute, you're a Frenchman with an Italian surname, right? Okay, right. That's not disparaging about French people or Italian people, more the fact that he's faking it as an Italian when he's actually French. Here at the back, it's sort of... kind of reminds me ever so slightly of a 308 GTB, or maybe a Dino. I don't know. Am I just... Anyway, here's some pictures of those cars, see if I'm talking absolute nonsense. Right.
Why you like this, what you think of it, because it's this vintage feel, the car is very muscular. So you look at the fender, it's very round, very... So
I think there's a V8 under there somewhere, is there not?
You could.
Someone's going to do a swap.
But I can tell you, why you look... there is some inspiration at the back of this car, but I don't know if you managed to think about a particular car. Because basically, Caterham belongs to VT Holdings. It's a company in Japan. So it's a bit Japanese, and the chairman, Takahashi-san, is in love with the Lotus Elan. So part of the brief was also maybe to have some hint at the Lotus Elan. And basically the rear light, they have the same outline of the Lotus Elan. But the fact is that you just use the LED technology for it. And you have this vintage feel because it's actually a very flat surface, and we just popped in the light. And again, this is actually simple to produce.
It looks simple, but it looks, like you say, an Apple phone is quite a beautiful phone, even though it's just a slab. This looks really, really nice. And do you know what? If this space underneath here is all boot, then I will take your word for it that in fact, yes, it could be quite practical.
Yeah, if you want to have an image, basically the powertrain is about the size of the wheel. You take a cylinder and you get the whole volume inside. So it means at the back you only have the crash beam and it's an empty space. That's again the beauty for electric.
So you're saying that this is the size? No.
Yeah.
That's the size of the...
That's basically, if you want, when you do engineering and design, you always check about the volume and the collision, and more or less, to give you an idea, is like, imagine a virtual cylinder that goes through the car with the same diameter of the wheel. You manage... So your boot area is here then? In this volume, basically, behind, you manage to fit in all the powertrain.
Really? So your electric motors, your
controller,
and all that kind of stuff. Okay, so going back to the design though, so this is quite a fat diffuser, but this is just, once again, it's not the finished thing. You'll do some aero work on it.
For the bottom of the car, this is, let's say, an intention, It will look like this because basically you need the retro reflector, you need the rear light, etc. So this will be in the same position, and obviously this might be slightly lower or bigger or thinner, whatever. But like the engineering principles are in place.
Right.
And you have the space for the registration plate, which is again a nightmare for the designers.
Yeah. They're so horrible, aren't they? There's got to be a better solution. I'm sure one will come one day. Anyhow, so it looks lovely on the outside. Let's jump on the inside because this is where it really is so different to any other Caterham before it. First thing, can't even reach the pedals. Second thing, my seat is electric. Third thing, it's comfy. Fourth thing, it's also very modern. But, you're going to say but?
No, it's modern, but it's retro at the same time.
It is retro at the same time. Gotta say, love the dials. Great idea. Just two little round digital screens. It just works so well.
Yeah.
Why hasn't anyone else done that?
I think it's because basically, it's only at Caterham that there is this bold decision, usually at OEM level, you have many people giving their opinion, etc. And what's great about a small company is that they all love to drive cars, so they all want dials. So we have to use a digital screen because that's what is actually easiest to develop today, and it's the cheapest thing as well. So in the end, we just mixed both, and it works.
So I've got a question for you, right? Is this done as individual little screens, or I suspect it's one screen behind there and you separate it with the plastic bits.
That was a difficult trick, and I will tell you because basically this little hood, it's always difficult to make a nicely proportioned one. And if you check many cars with the square-ish screens, they have this big bulk on top, and really like in the corner there must be like 2 millimeter gap, So it's actually a rectangle, and we really play with a mask basically in front.
Oh, it's such an obvious thing to do, and it just works so well. It really does. Now, the rest of the dash, you've got other dials here. Is this the same again? You've got like a strip of screen like that, and then you just make it into dials by masking parts of it?
Yeah.
And then obviously just your normal infotainment screen here, which I see that you're an Apple person.
It will be.
I'm an Android person. Look, I've got my Android phone here. Have we got Android Auto?
Yes, we will have both basically because I was Android and then Apple, so I don't want to go in the fight. But basically, the principle was we're not going to develop our own HMI because it doesn't make sense. So basically, on the production car, this will be a little compartment where you put your phone, it will charge, and you will just mirror the screen. So very simple, very basic. There is no Caterham, HMI, complicating things, etc. It's still a driver-focused car.
Right, so you don't control anything for the car through this screen because all like your ventilation system, it's all done separately, old school style, which actually when you're driving and just want to just way better than, what am I doing here? Okay, so that's really good. So you're basically keeping it quite simple then.
Yeah, and there is a nice little touch I like to explain every time is you see this surface, it's actually totally flat through the whole dashboard, like this retro inspiration, but at the same time, it's super useful because imagine you want the car with a wood trim or aluminum trim, it's just a plate, just a cutout of a plate.
So people might be able to swap them?
Don't say that. You need to speak to Bob. Maybe if they want to tune, yes.
Maybe swap it out. Marketing, you can make more money. You can sell these things that you can just snap out. That'd be really, really cool. Seats, though. These seats are really nice. Very, well, they're sport seats, right? They feel like bucket seats, but they're also quite comfortable. However, if I'm being brutally honest, the interior of this, it feels more expensive than I think you're going to be able to put into production at the price point you're looking at. Because I've heard it's around £80,000 you're looking. This feels more expensive than £80,000. How are you going to achieve it?
And you are a bit right, actually. But the fact is, for instance, this, we call it like new book, and it's actually a more expensive material, but you have the equivalent for production. Because this is a concept car, so we have no limitation, but there is like a similar material that is actually super cheap. The only thing, as you see, is that maybe what could be optional is that this is covered, and the upholstery might be optional, but the material itself, no, it's not a big reason to be expensive.
Okay, so you think that you can get something very similar to this into production for the price point you're looking at?
Again, that's, check the volume. Everything is quite simple to manufacture. There's no gadget inside. And that's what draws the cost very high, I mean, manufacturing today, it's like material and things. Once you get the shape done, it's nothing special.
He said it. We'll see, 2026, when this goes on sale, how close it is to this concept that I'm looking at now. There is something very, very special about this car that once again is so un-Caterham, and it's the fact that there's a little seat back there. So this is a 3-seater. Can I get in the back? Will I fit?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, you can fit, but you will stay like this for 5-10 minutes. It's this thing where you have to drop a mate somewhere, but the thing has been engineered to accommodate a kid up to 12-year-old. So the scenario for that is that imagine you're a dad with 2 kids. You have a teenager and a child. I mean, the teenager sits next to you.
He sounds like a divorced dad because where's his wife? That's why he's got this car.
Kind of.
It sounds a bit like me spending all his money on cars.
But the other, if you want another approach, is you're a young couple and you have a young kid. Yeah. One single child at the back.
I have a single child, but I'm not young.
But
can I get in the back?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can get into the back.
Your head will be a bit low, but
it's fine. It's all in the process of testing vehicles.
And so let's move forward this. Okay. We push in. I'm sure you can go now.
Okay, right, this is it. I'm going to get into the back. Okay, so Anthony, what you've got to do now is sit in this seat like you're ready to drive it so we can get a fair representation of what it's like. I'm actually going to do this so that you can see what's going on back here.
So I will move for you as well. You will feel more comfortable like this.
Well, I actually want you to go into your driving position to see what it's like in terms of leg room. So you go for it. I've just moved that so that the cameraman can see what's going on.
But honestly, I'm in my position.
Are you?
Yeah, look at the. I don't touch with the knee. I don't touch.
Oh no, you're fine. Yeah.
That's
Actually,
how I would look at my my hand, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm in the position, you know.
So you're right. The headroom, like I could sort of, you know.
I didn't want to kill the silhouette of the exterior shape, to be honest.
And I've got quite a long torso. You see, I'm more upper body than lower body.
And again, you know, you see the principle is like when you're a kid at the back, usually what you see it's the back seat.
Yeah, let's look. But now,
but the principle is like it's not a punishment. You will be able to see the road, you know.
Yeah, it's quite
good.
It's
a great position, you know.
It's okay. This is. It's all right. It's all right. Tested. There, the new Caterham's back seat. Tested it properly. Thank you very much for showing me around the car. I really enjoyed it.
Pleasure, yeah.
It's very, very interesting. But now, I want to find out a little. You want me to mention this?
No.
It was a conscious. Like,
I'm always
have a look at the headlight. It's beautiful, and this is why I think it's more than £80,000 because this kind of finish is like.
I won't promise this in the production car, but as options, you know. But the main thing is that if you notice the size, the height, and I pay particular attention at the highest point of the car. It's next to
your. Look at that. Look at the headroom he's got there. Look at that.
And when we designed the car, you know, we took the ergonomics of also wearing a helmet.
A helmet,
you know?
Okay.
So you might be able to go on a track and wear your helmet. So it's a very modern car in some sort, you know.
Because Caterham drivers tend to like to go on track occasionally, don't they? Anyway, let's find out about like the engineering side of it. Not from you, I'm afraid, Anthony. You know, you design on
My job is done.
We're going to speak to the CEO of Caterham. This is Bob Lashley. He is the CEO of Caterham. So, Bob, how long have you been at Caterham?
Just over 2 years now, since the new owners took over the company.
So, have you been brought in to deliver on this car?
I guess so. I mean, I was originally employed as the Chief Strategic Officer, and at some point a year ago, the previous CEO decided that he wanted to retire, and Takashi-san persuaded me to come out of semi-retirement and take on a full-time job again.
Okay, so you say you were semi-retired. What were you doing before Caterham?
I did 25 years at Nissan. I was chief engineer for the Qashqai for a while. Ended up my career there working with Mercedes on all of their collaborations for 11 years. And I was program director for Nissan sports cars for 6 years. So GTR, Z and the Nismo performance road cars.
Okay, so you have formed working on performance cars.
Yeah.
That's good, that's good. So we've got a nice picture here. Has this come off your lounge wall?
No, it's one of Anthony's pieces of art.
So can you tell me what we're looking at here? Because one of the things about this car, I can see the outside of it and it's very beautiful, but what is it made out of, the body?
So it's important to understand that this is a concept car. This is what we want to deliver in 2026. The body is a composite structure. It's lightweight, and that's how we achieve the vast majority of the lightweight. The intention here is to deliver a car that is under 1,200 kilograms with an EV. We feel as a brand we can do that because we're all about simplicity, lightweight, fun to drive, and we don't have to put features or specification in the car that we're satisfying some marketeers with an Excel spreadsheet of tick in the box, tick in the box, tick in the box. So everything that's on this car is only here to deliver that lightweight, fun to drive and simplicity.
In order to achieve that, it looks like you've got a carbon fibre tub?
It's not a tub. In this image, it's a collection of carbon fibre parts that are assembled together to form a chassis.
So is that like a monocoque?
Yeah, ultimately, yeah.
So a carbon fibre monocoque, which helps keep the weight down.
And then there's a crash structure at the front and the rear, which is made out of aluminium and steel.
So roughly, off the top of your head, as an engineer, what do you think the saving in terms of weight is compared to if you'd done those structures out of just normal steel?
If we do it in aluminium, which is the next lightest option to this structure, it's about 100 kilograms.
Right. So if you did steel, was that another 100 on top?
Maybe, yeah.
Wow, so that saved you about 200 kilos
compared
right
to
from the
steel.
get-go.
But you know, most cars of this ilk are not completely steel now anyway. Most of this sports car area, the big panels are made out of aluminium or lighter weight composites anyway. But most sports cars have aluminium doors, aluminium hood now. Some carbon fibre panels on the exterior.
One thing I'm still struggling to get my head around is how you're going to get it for this price point, because EVs are just more expensive than internal combustion engine cars. And then when you're putting stuff like carbon fibre into the construction, like 80,000?
This is not strictly carbon fibre per se. It's a composite material from a development that we're talking about with a potential supplier. Ultimately, this is a concept. We need to prove this works. Yeah? So far, we haven't said anything that says that it doesn't work, but we believe this structure can deliver the weight performance and the torsional stiffness that we need.
Now let's talk about performance. And for that, we have another lovely picture by Anthony. So this is actually my favourite picture because it shows the layout of the car. So that is the back of the car. That's the electric motor.
Correct.
So essentially, the electric motor is on the rear axle, so it's sort of like a 911.
In that sense, in terms of its positioning, but the weight of that compared to the weight of this is very different. So you're not talking about it being tail happy with all of the weight over the rear, because these are very, very heavy compared to the weight of the electric motor.
So let's talk about the electric motor. How much horsepower does it deliver?
It's about 260. We're not chasing stellar performance, thousands and thousands of horsepower, 0 to 60s in 1.5 seconds. We're looking at something far more conventional, 0 to 60 in 4.5, VMAX of 140, 150. It's about the fun to drive element, not necessarily class-leading stellar figures. And by doing that, we can save weight, and everything about our brand is about simplicity, fun to drive, and lightweight.
Okay, so let's just go back to the motor. So 270 horsepower. What is the most powerful Caterham currently on sale?
The 620R, and the numbers we talk about is the brake horsepower per tonne.
But what is the horsepower of the 620R?
So it's about 330.
It'll have less horsepower than that, and how much does it weigh?
The 620 is about 650, 700 kilograms.
And so power to weight is going to be...
So this 620.
620, hence the name.
Yeah.
Face palm. Right, okay, whereas what's the power to weight ratio of this then?
I haven't done the maths, but...
Here it is on the screen now.
Right.
So that's quite a lot less than the 620R.
A 620 will do 0 to 60 in just over 2 seconds. So we're talking about a very different animal in terms of performance, yeah?
So what's the performance of this like? What would be the current Caterham that has similar performance? Where would you be in the range?
Probably somewhere near 340 or something like that. It's got, 160 horsepower, around that kind of level.
Which for most people is actually the better Caterham.
The 420 people say is the sweet spot.
Okay, all right. So 270 horsepower, decent performance. I was talking about the electric motor being all the way out over there. So how heavy is the motor, roughly?
I haven't actually got a breakdown for what that motor weighs. We're just looking at the overall weight of the car being less than 1,200 kilograms.
So you said that it's balanced out by what's going on up here. So that unit there, what's that?
That's a battery and that's a battery.
Right, so you're splitting up the battery.
So we're splitting the battery into 2 places. Right?
Okay, why is that weight distribution?
No, it's to get the driver position in exactly where it needs to be for a sports car.
Right.
So the bottom of the seat is in here.
So you're lower.
So you're in the same place as you would be in a normal sports car.
Ah.
The only difference is that because we've got this battery here, which is about 80 mil thick, your feet are slightly elevated, but it's no different to sitting in a 7 because you sit fairly straight-legged in a 7 anyway. So you've sat in the car.
I didn't notice.
And you didn't notice any different. So actually the pedals are elevated. It's not quite like a Formula One car where you're sitting in the bathtub. You're sitting in the bath with your feet on the taps, yeah? Yeah, people talk about an EV skateboard, yeah? So if you take that, that's double the height of that, cut that in half and put it there, that's where you would have the skateboard. Right. So we've moved that battery from there to put it there.
Clever.
So we can put the driver's backside where it would be in a normal sports car.
I wonder if having that weight a bit more concentrated that way will make it feel a little bit more interesting to drive, because one of the things about skateboard battery designs is that they don't feel the same. They're just so balanced, and it's just a little bit dull, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I won't be unhappy if this is tail happy, because that's all part of the fun to drive and simplicity that we're looking for. Just simple rear wheel drive.
Okay, so in terms of the rest of the setup, the suspension that you've used, is that double wishbone at the front?
Yeah, double wishbone at the front, and I think one of the reasons we haven't gone for a trunk at the front of the car is because it gives us the freedom to lay the suspension out exactly where we want it to deliver the maximum performance for ride and handling. Having a fruit or a frunk or whatever you want to call it.
It's definitely a fruit.
It's definitely a fruit in my world as well. It gives us lots of other challenges. So taking that fruit away saves about 12.5, 13 kilos. It means we don't have another closure we have to worry about. There isn't hinges, another panel that we have to make sure fits. So the overall quality appearance of the car looks a whole lot better with that as a single piece. But the big side effect is it gives us the freedom to do what we want underneath. Just imagine starting to draw this and somebody in the marketing department says we've got to put a Louis Vuitton overnight bag in there. So you draw that in there, then you draw everything else around it, and you're compromising everything else to fit that bag in that area. You're not necessarily designing it and then saying, I'm going to use that space. We do this the opposite way around.
Because it's all about fun.
All about fun.
Which brings us on to, like other Caterhams, is designed to be able to go on track as well, is that correct?
Ultimately, I think this performance we're talking about now, it's a daily drive, a Sunday morning sprint, and we've got sprint mode.
Yeah, I noticed that. One of the driving modes says sprint.
So everybody talks about EV, range anxiety, and this is a fun car, right? So in normal mode, we're aiming for about 200 miles. But if you want a Sunday morning sprint for 100 miles, 50 miles there and back, or 25 miles there and back, you can put it in sprint mode and get maximum performance at the expense of the range.
Okay, so do you have like two different power outputs then? So if you're in normal, you're having less power than if you're in sprint?
That's the way we're going to try and control it, yeah. And ultimately, when you talk about track performance, one of the differentiators of this car in the future will be different levels of battery performance. So when we talk about the entry price, it's 55 kilowatt hours with relatively cheapest cells we can get. Maybe in the future there's more performance coming from different levels of battery.
So I actually like radio controlled cars, right? And one of the things I know is that you can have different battery, like 6S and 4S, which gives you more power. So it's not just your motors, it's your battery that can give you more power. So is that basically what you're talking about here?
And the battery cells, there's a number called the C rate for battery cells, which is how quickly you charge it and how quickly you can discharge it. And generally that C rate is proportional to the price that you pay for the cells.
Okay.
So that's really where the future performance might come from this. Once it's in production, once it's developed, a future product may be more powerful, way more expensive, because of that differential for the cost of the cells.
How about in terms of charging then? So one of the things that if I'm like going for a blast and I'm like running out of fuel, I can just quickly pull over, put some more unleaded in it. So what about this? How quick can you charge it?
For this, with just a conventional supercharger out in the field, you can charge from 20 to 80% in 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It's just nothing major performance in terms of this particular product, right? When you talk about a product suitable for track days, we need to get to a duty cycle where we're talking about maybe running a wide open throttle for 20 minutes on a track, charging it in 15 minutes and then running again for
without
20
it overheating.
Minutes. Yeah, which is why at the minute the best cooling system is this immersive cooling system. And ultimately we hope that is what we could use for a track day. But then you've got to get into the discussion about infrastructure at the track. But we think that that doesn't justify a track day car until you can deliver that 20, 20 performance.
So from launch, you're not looking at that, but it's something that could come in future.
We're looking at a daily driver for a black on a Sunday morning.
Okay. So less track focus, more about the fact that you're just going to take it out the weekend for a bit of fun. But you can also, unlike other Caterhams, you could daily it to work, right?
I mean, I've used a Caterham as daily, but it's...
That's because you're CEO.
I've driven to the south of France, so it's doable.
What are you coming here today, though? Is it a Caterham? I haven't seen one outside.
I haven't come in a Caterham.
He's not coming a Caterham. Okay, this is all very interesting, and you know, if you can make an electric car that's genuinely good fun and you can actually deliver it to 2026, will you deliver it before Elon delivers his Tesla Roadster?
I don't know, he's been promising that for a long time.
I think you will. I think you will.
You know, I think we've spent a lot of time, this is a concept car, but we've been very, very careful to make sure that what we promise in here is something that's deliverable in 2026. It's not necessarily what's on the market now, but it's what will be around by that time. Batteries will get smaller, more efficient, lighter, etc., etc., etc.
Okay, I mean, that sounds really interesting, and wish you the best of luck. And it's all very exciting. And I'm looking forward, 2026, to getting behind the wheel of the production version of that car. Anyway, I hope you'll enjoy the video. If you did, give it a like. Let me know what you think of this Caterham Project V in the comments below. Click on the video windows for some more videos, and on the carwow box to go to carwow to silly car the easy way. I'm Mark Watson, thanks for watching.